technique. This is one of my all-time favorite techniques to play when I'm playing metal rhythms. The gallop is so cool because once you get this technique down and you're about to really nail it with this riff, because we're doing a lot of it. Actually, there's a special little type of gallop in here we're going to go over. It's going to change everything about your rhythm playing, but you can do so many things with it, and it opens up so many doors when you start writing your own riffs. So we're going to get to this. I'm going to play it out in the open. I'll break everything down. Real quick, if you're part of the Stallworth Guitar Academy, you have the tabs and the backing tracks. Make sure you log into the portal and download those. We're starting right out of the gate with the gallop. Now, real quick, if you're new to galloping, all it is just a fancy alternate picking. Not even really fancy. I'll explain the timing behind this, but you're just alternate picking, and it's 1, 2, 3. It's very quick, 1, 2, 3. So in this case, we're galloping with a down pick, upstroke, and down pick. That's how we're doing this specific riff. And the timing part behind this, which is really interesting, it's basically 2 16th notes followed by an 8th note. So notice how there's a slight pause after that third note of the gallop. Okay, that slight pause, that's that turning the 16th into an 8th note, basically. That final note being an 8th note instead of 16th. So I hope I don't lose you on the details on that. Just get that timing in your head. It's like, okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and you kind of rest after that third note. So just look at it as that. Now, we're starting right out of the gate by doing that 4 times on the open E string. Okay, that's the bulk of the riff right there. Now we go into some finger movement, but we're going to apply the gallop in the first part of this. So let's go through this piece by piece. So here's the first part. What's interesting about this, and this is so cool, when you get this part that we're about to go over, when you get this down, you can go crazy writing your own riffs, applying this. Just this one little thing that we're going to change here in the middle of the gallop. So if you notice, our notes we're playing, we're starting on the 6th fret, and all this is just on the E string here. So we're going 6 to 5, but we're doing the gallop. So remember, the gallop's 1, 2, 3. So what we're doing here is we're going 1, 2, down, up on the 6th fret. But to complete the gallop with that final downstroke, we're going to move from 6 to 5. So that gives you this little effect here. Again, we're just going from one note to the next, but we're waiting before we change from the 6th fret to the 5th fret until we get to that third and final gallop. Don't do this quite yet, but after the lesson, I want you to apply just that concept to some of your own riffs, and you'll be like, whoa, okay, that sounds cool. So we follow through with the rest of the notes here. And all we're doing is we're just playing around on 6, 5, 3, and 2, and an open note. So let me just throw the tabs up here. We'll go through this slow a couple times. So pretty simple for the most part. Now, after we do that piece, we go back to what we started out with. So we sort of start all over again, but this time we're going to do something a little different after we do the open E string gallops. So I'm going to play it up to the point that we're about to learn, this next little riff. That right there, make it sound a little wicked with that 4th fret. Pretty cool. So we're applying the exact same strategy as we just did. We're just cutting it short a little bit, and I'll explain why I do that, why I did that for this specific riff. I'll talk more about that and more about how I structured this and the power chords are going to play in a second here. I'll talk about that in our guitar chat at the end. That's going to give you some really cool writing ideas when you go to write your own riffs, which I encourage you to do. So let's go through this though. Again, same strategy except for starting on the 6th fret, going to the 5th fret in the middle of the gallop, we go 8, 7. So, and remember, it's this, in this case, it's the 8th fret down, up, then we complete the gallop with the final downstroke, but that's when we move from frets 8 to 7. So let's throw the tabs up, let's play through this little part here. Alright, next after that we actually repeat that first part again. So let me play it through up to that point. See, we do that the exact same riff we started out with, we just replicate that. So it's kind of 4 parts here. We do this part here. Part 2 is part 3 is the same as part 1. Then part 4 is this power chord, little power chord frenzy here. So all we're doing here is playing an F power chord. We play that, let it ring out for a little bit, play it again before sliding up 2 frets 4 and 6, okay, which would technically be like an A flat, G sharp, and then we'll play that, then play it quickly again to slide up to a B power chord, frets 7 and 9. So it's this. We'll throw the tabs up, we'll just play through this a couple times. Again, I'll explain why I did this, why I structured this riff. There's a rhyme and reason. Well, no rhymes because metal doesn't rhyme. I'm kidding. No, but there is a rhyme and reason why I structured this riff. There's a couple things I want to share with you before we do that in our guitar chat coming up. Let's just run through this together a couple of times, okay? It is time for our guitar chat, and I want to share a few songwriting tips with you here, especially when it comes to these killer metal riffs with this technique. But before we do that though, if you don't have my metal riffs and licks, it's my complete guitar practice guide and more, grab a copy of that. I give this away to all of my YouTube subscribers. It's my way of saying thank you for being part of this whole thing that I'm doing. Now, if you already have metal riffs and licks and you like my style of teaching videos like this helps you, then consider joining the Jason Stallworth Guitar Academy. There's links to both in the description of this video. A couple of riff writing tips that I want to share with you, and this is something to think about because, you know, I encourage you to write your own riffs more than anything. Sure, you can learn other people's riffs. You're learning this riff here. You've already gone through it, and hey, feel free to go through this as many times as you need to. But once you learn someone else's riff, whether it be a practice riff like this or a song, I want you to quickly start expanding on it. Don't just learn the riff, but take the concepts, galloping and the special little galloping we did when we changed notes in the middle of the gallop, I want you to take these things and apply them to your own creative ideas, because your ideas are always the best ideas, and I want to encourage you to focus more on that than anything else. But a couple of notes here. So you'll notice we did the gallops 4 times in a row on the open E string, then we went to the riff. Now the second time around, I could have just repeated that, but the second time around I just moved that riff up like 2 frets, a whole step. That's all I did. That's all I was thinking about. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to do the same thing over again. We might come back to it, which we did. We did part 1 and part 3. Those are the same. But part 2, I just changed the riff a little bit. I just slid everything up a whole step, 2 frets. And then I actually ended, well, you did because you just played this riff, but we ended a little differently as well. So this is one of those things to where if you have this cool riff, but it's starting to sound a little repetitive. You're like, okay, well, I played it, I love it, but I want something else in between. Maybe just move it up a couple steps, or a whole step, a couple frets, whatever. There's no wrong or right answer here, but just move it around a little bit. And once you move it, then you're like, okay, well, this other thing I'm doing with it sounds cool too. And the ideas just start to flow. Now, lastly, I end, or you end, because again, you just played it, you and I together, we end with some power chords. A couple of reasons I do this. One reason is, again, it just changes things up a little bit. And we threw some wicked sounding power chords in there too. It just made it, I don't know, just made it sound cool, right? But another reason why I do this sometimes is because I might get tired of galloping. Sometimes your hands get tired. And let's say you're playing on stage and you've got this cool song, it's got a lot of gallops. I know this riff wasn't like ultra difficult or anything, but sometimes your hands do get tired and it's like, okay, why not give yourself a little break in between? And that's kind of my thought process sometimes when I'm writing riffs like this. Look, I'm not in some competition. It's not to see who can play the fastest, the longest. I don't really care about that stuff. I just want the song to sound cool, But I do play on stage time to time. You guys know I play acoustic shows all over town, but I also play my metal shows too a few times a year, once or twice a year, and hope to play more of that in the upcoming years here. I've got some good plans. But in any case, when you're on stage, and I know you may or may not play live, but it's still relevant, when you're up there playing or you're just practicing, you do get tired sometimes. Let me give myself a little bit of breathing room before I go back to that gallop, right? Because that can be tiring after a while, or playing something fast or whatever. So it's just kind of to break things up, not only musically, but also physically too. Because hey, that's the thing. Again, it's just like lifting weights. You go do a heavy set of squats. Well, you stop at some point, you take a little break, and then you come back to it, right? The set doesn't just continue on and on and on. But anyway, I just wanted to share that. Just like to share my thought process when I'm writing music, when I'm writing riffs and that sort of thing, and just how I approach it. And this might be an approach you might not have expected. It's like, okay, I get it, you want to change things up, but I didn't think about the maybe getting fatigued part of it. So I just want to pass these things along to you because I hope that they help you. Remember, you can always go back through these lessons at any time, and I encourage you to do that. But remember, like I said before, don't just learn the riff. Don't just stop there. Start applying these strategies, these techniques. Start applying those to your own riffs, and your ideas are just going to flow like crazy. So again, I hope this lesson helped you. Guys, as always, keep it metal and keep playing music.